Hi, I'm Katie Tedeschi. I've been a therapist for over 6 years, although I recently quit to be a stay-at-home mom. I loved my time as a therapist and helping people deal with difficulties in their lives. I'm personally in individual therapy for anxiety and to help process life issues. Counseling really helps me sort out my thoughts and work through difficult situations or issues in my life. My husband and I are also in marriage therapy to work on our communication skills and conflict resolution skills. This has been extremely helpful for our marriage. I believe therapy can benefit anyone, and for many it's a need to process difficult life circumstances or for various mental health issues. Looking back on my time as a therapist, one of my favorite passages to share with my clients was the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. Jesus knows Lazarus had died, and he knew he was going to raise him from the dead, but Jesus still wept, and I think it's beautiful. This passage comes from John 11. The whole chapter is worth reading, but I'll read parts of it. I'll start in John 11, 1 through 7. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This was Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, and was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." When he heard this, Jesus said, "The sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. So from this we know that Jesus knew he would raise Lazarus from the dead, and he would not let him remain dead. If we skip down to John 11:17, it says, "On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. After this, Martha comes to meet Jesus as he comes into town. Then Martha goes and gets Mary and the Jews that were at their house mourning the loss of Lazarus." John 11:32 through 35 say, "When Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, 'Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.' When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. 'Where have you laid him?' he asked. 'Come see, Lord,' they replied, and Jesus wept." If you continue reading, Jesus does raise Lazarus from the dead. I think it is so beautiful that even though Jesus knew what he was going to do and what would happen, he still wept. If Jesus weeps over Lazarus' death and the grieving of his friends Mary and Martha, then how much more do we need to embrace our emotions? God gave us emotions for a reason, and they can help guide us. We cannot rely solely on these emotions, but they are a guidepost on our journey and need to be honored. One way to honor difficult experience and emotions is to process them with others. Sometimes doing this with other believers is enough, but sometimes we need professional help to work through these feelings and issues. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the benefits of counseling that I've seen as a therapist and in individual therapy myself. One of the benefits of counseling is being able to process our difficult emotions and experiences with another person who is trained to help and be supportive. This is extremely helpful for anyone. As a therapist, I specialized in trauma, children, and women. I worked with those who had been abused, who had witnessed tragic situations, those with addictions, those with PTSD, anxiety, depression, ADHD, bipolar, and personality disorders, among other mental health disorders. Some of my clients were there to process adjusting to new life situations or stress at work. Therapy is a great place to process issues, big or small. Another benefit of therapy is being able to process life with someone who is unbiased and is not personally attached to the situation. The therapist has no skin in the game, like processing things with a friend or family member who is likely attached to you and also the other people in your life that have to do with what you're going through. Personally, therapy helps me process my own mental health struggles and life difficulties with someone who is trained specifically in mental health. Even as someone who is actually trained as a therapist, I need outside support from a professional trained in mental health. Doing it by myself is not enough. I also believe that therapy has improved my relationship with God. It has pushed me to process difficult issues from various stages of my life and to let God heal those areas. So if you feel like there is a reason counseling could be beneficial to you, then I encourage you to find a therapist. Therapy is hard work, but it's well worth it.